In this video, I will be explaining exactly what I do to collect watch-flowing rocks in 0.5 A presses. But first, we need to clear something up, because every time I post a half A press video, I get the same comments over and over asking what it means, even though I always have a whole paragraph in the description explaining it, which even starts with, if you're wondering what a half A press is, read this before commenting to ask. And maybe what you guys need isn't a paragraph, maybe you guys need an example. So consider Wing Mario over the rainbow, not even the whole star, just consider getting to that cannon platform, which is a necessary part of getting the star. So, how many A presses does it take to get there? Well, if you say 0, that's wrong, because then Mario can't go far enough. If you say 1, well, it's true that Mario can get there with 1, but we can do a little better. We can do it in half an A press. To do that, we start the level already holding A and then use that A press to reach the platform. Now, hold on, I know what you're thinking. An A press is an A press. You can't say it's only half. Well, TJ, Henry, Yoshi, hear me out. An A press actually has 3 parts to it. When A is pressed, when A is held, and when A is released. And together, this forms one complete A press. Now, usually, it's the pressing that's useful, because that's the only part that makes Mario jump. However, sometimes it's sufficient to just use the holding part, which allows Mario to do little kicks, to swim in water, to fall slowly while twirling, and to fall slowly with the wing cap. And as for the release, well, there's currently no cases that's useful or important, so don't worry about that part. Now, if we map out all the required A presses for Wing Mario over the rainbow, it will look like this. We merely need to hold A to reach the cannon platform. We need to press A to launch for the first cannon, and we need to press A again to launch for the second cannon. So how many A presses is that total? Well, it appears to be 3, and if we're doing this star in isolation, then yeah, it would be 3. But in a full game A and challenge run, there are other A presses that occur earlier in the run, such as this A press needs to get into the course. So if we take that A press into consideration as well, then how many A presses would it take? The naive answer would be 4. One to enter the course and the 3 within the course that we established earlier. However, we can do better. We can actually do it in 3 by simply holding out the first A press that to be used for the half A press. Because the half A press only required A to be held, not actually pressed. So in this fashion, Wing Mario over the rainbow only adds an additional 2 A presses to the run, since the A press just leeches off a previous A press. So, to capture this phenomenon, we call it 2.5 A presses. On a single star basis, you'd round it up to 3, but in a full game run, you'd round it down to 2. So, in conclusion, since that first A press counts in some contexts but adds no additional A presses in other contexts, we refer to it to a half A press. So, going back to the video, you can see that I start the level with the A run already held, as indicated in the bottom left corner. And so, in the full game run, this A press will just leech off a previous one, so it won't incur an additional A press. Okay, glad that explained. Now, what am I going to do in the video? Here, I'm using a trick called Scuttlebugs Transportation. You see, like most enemies, Scuttlebugs have a home, which is just a point in 3D space. And they'll patrol a certain radius around that point. So, if Mario enters that radius, they will lunge at him to attack. But unlike most other enemies, a Scuttlebug's home can change positions. Because if a Scuttlebug bumps into Mario, the Scuttlebug's home will update to where the Scuttlebug was when the collision occurred. So, by strategically luring the Scuttlebug to the edge of its radius and bumping into it, we can effectively transport the Scuttlebug and its home. So, that's what I'm doing here. Note that we can't actually transport a Scuttlebug to outside of its native room. He actually gets stuck at the door. So if your dream is to bring all the Scuttlebugs together for one big jamboree, I'm sorry, but it's not gonna happen. Also worth noting is that Scuttlebugs actually disappear if they walk into a wall while too far below their current home. So I do have to be careful to avoid that. It's pretty weird if you've never seen it before, and I'm pretty sure they did it so that if Scuttlebugs jumps into a hole, it wouldn't just be walking around down there. Anyway, I'm transporting the Scuttlebug to the corner right now below the watch-flowing rock star. Because next, I do a trick called Scuttlebug Raising, and here's how it works. On the left, I show a bird's eye view of the scene, and on the right, I show a view from the side. Now, when Mario leaves the Rolling Rocks room, the Scuttlebug deactivates. That's because the room and everything in it only active when Mario is in the room, or standing in a small region right outside the door, indicated here in yellow. So, if Mario isn't in the Rolling Rocks room or in the yellow region, then the room will be completely black and everything in the room will be invisible and won't move. Conveniently, this allows for us to raise the Scuttlerbug by performing the following steps. First, Mario enters the Scuttlebug's radius. Although the Scuttlebug is invisible and can't move around, it can still turn towards Mario and activate a lunge. Then, Mario leaves the radius and the Scuttlebug returns to facing its home. Next, Mario enters the yellow region and activates the Scuttlebug. The Scuttlebug performed the lunge that it started, but cleverly we have Mario exit the yellow region right when the Scuttlerbug's at the peak of its trajectory, thereby activating it so it won't fall down. And finally, since the Scuttlerbug moves past its home, it turns around to face its home once more. Now, we've gotten all the height we could out of the Scuttlerbug's current lunge, but that's no problem because we could just activate another lunge by repeating this procedure. Activate a lunge while the Scuttlerbug is deactivated, while reactivate the Scuttlerbug just for the upward portion of trajectory, and then repeat. As simple as that. So that's what I do here. And I have a second spin to show from the Scuttlebug's perspective. Fortunately, the Scuttlebug's radius isn't a sphere, but a cylinder that extends up and down infinitely. So really, no matter how high the Scuttlebug gets, we can continue to enter its area to activate its lunges and move it upwards. There's no limit on how high we can raise it. Now, it's worth knowing that I can only activate the Scuttlebug while I'm not inside its radius, so the Scuttlebug will always lunge towards its home and not towards Mario. This causes the Scuttlebug to effectively travel straight up above its home. But alternatively, I could have activated the Scuttlebug while inside its radius, and in that case, the Scuttlebug would always lunge towards Mario instead of towards its home. So it would actually make its way towards the door and then travel straight up from there. That means it's actually a little faster because we wouldn't have to wait for the Scuttlebug to turn back towards its home before each activation. However, it wouldn't work for what we're doing because we need the Scuttlebug to be right next to that corner. In fact, the top of that corner has a special property which we call a misalignment. Basically, in a game's code, there's a discrepancy between the way the game handles collision checking with floors versus walls. This results in a 1x1 unit area where Mario can get under the floor without being pushed away by the walls. And if Mario is less than 79 units under a floor, he'll snap right up onto it. So that'll be important later for getting up there. Anyway, now it's time to build up some speed. I mean a lot of speed. So to get that speed, we're going to use a trick called hyper speed walking. Here's how it works. You will probably already know that there are some slopes in the game that are too steep to stand on, or just slides off of them. But did you know that you can actually stand on these slopes if they're submerged in shallow water? In fact, the underwater